I just caught my reflection in the window. My hair is getting so long and messy. I really need to get a haircut.
I was thinking the same thing. It's starting to grow over your ears and your collar. You look a little bit like a musician from the 1970s.
Exactly. I have a big meeting at work next week, and I want to look smart and professional. I have been putting off getting a haircut for weeks.
Why have you been procrastinating? Are you too busy?
It's not that. To be honest, I am a little bit nervous. My German is not very good yet, so I need to go to a salon where the hairdresser speaks English. But then I am nervous about explaining what I want in English.
I understand completely. Describing a haircut can be difficult, even for native speakers. There is a lot of special vocabulary.
That's my fear. What if I use the wrong words and they misunderstand me? I could end up with a terrible haircut.
Don't worry, it's not as scary as it seems. I can help you prepare. We can go through all the steps and practice the exact phrases you will need. You will feel so much more confident. Okay, first things first. Before you can get a haircut, you need to find a hair salon and make an appointment.
Right. I was just going to walk down the main street tomorrow and look for a Frisur, which is the German word for hairdresser.
That's a good start. But it's always better to make an appointment in advance, especially for a Saturday. Most good salons are very busy on the weekend. If you just walk in, you might have to wait for a very long time, or they might not have any free slots at all.
Making an appointment, or a termin, is a much better idea. I can look online for some salons near our apartment that have good reviews and where they speak English.
Exactly. Once you have found a place you like, you will need to call them to book a time.
I am always a bit nervous on the phone. What should I say?
You can just say something very simple. For example, "Hello, I would like to make an appointment for a haircut, please." They will then ask you for what day and time, and for your name and phone number.
I would like to make an appointment for a haircut. That's easy enough. I could ask for Saturday morning if possible. I can definitely do that.
Okay, so let's imagine I have successfully made an appointment for tomorrow morning. Now for the most difficult part, explaining the hairstyle that I want.
This is the most important part. The best tip I can give you is to find a picture. If you can find a photo of a man with the haircut you want, it is the easiest and clearest way to show the stylist.
A picture, that is a brilliant idea. A picture is worth 1,000 words, right? It avoids any misunderstanding. I will look on the internet now for some photos of men's hairstyles.
Great idea. But you will still need to use some words to explain the details. So let's start with the general instructions. How short do you want to go?
I want it to be much shorter than it is now, but not super short. I want it to look neat and tidy, but still look like I have some hair.
Okay, so you could say, "I'd like it a bit shorter, please." Or, "I'd like to keep some of the length, but make it look tidier."
That's a good start. I also want it to be easy to style in the morning. I don't want to spend a lot of time on my hair.
In that case, you can say,
I'd like a style that is low maintenance and easy to manage.
Now let's get into the more specific instructions. It's a good idea to talk about the different parts of your head separately: the sides, the back, and the top.
That's a very logical approach. So let's start with the sides and the back. I definitely want them to be quite short.
Okay. The most common way to cut the hair short on the sides and back is with electric clippers. The clippers have different guard numbers, which correspond to different lengths.
Ah, I have heard hairdressers asking, "What number would you like?" I never know what to say.
A number 1 is very, very short, almost shaved. A number 4 is a bit longer. A number 2 or 3 is a very popular, classic short length. You could say a number 2 on the sides and back, please.
What if I don't want it all one length? I like the style where it gradually gets shorter towards the bottom.
In that case, you are talking about a fade or a taper. You can say, "I'd like a fade on the sides." The stylist will then blend the different lengths together smoothly. If you prefer a softer, more natural look, you can also ask them to use scissors instead of clippers.
Okay, so I can say I'd like a number 2 on the sides and back, faded down. That sounds very professional. Now, what about the hair on top?
You said you wanted to keep some length on the top. This is where the picture will be very helpful. But you still need to tell the stylist how much you want them to cut off.
Right. I don't want them to cut it too short on top. How do I explain that?
If you only want a little bit cut off, you can say, "Just a trim on top, please." A trim just means cutting a very small amount to make it look neat. You can also be more specific with the length.
How can I be more specific?
You can use your fingers to show the length, or you can use measurements. For example, could you take about an inch off the top? Or, please cut off about 2 centimeters.
Using my fingers to show the length is a great idea. It's a very clear and visual instruction.
You can also talk about the texture. If your hair is very thick, you could ask, "Could you thin it out a little bit?" This will make it feel lighter and easier to style.
We have covered the sides, the back, and the top. Now we need to think about the small but important details. Let's talk about your sideburns and your neckline.
I have never even thought about giving instructions for my sideburns before. I just let the hairdresser decide.
It's good to know what you want. The stylist will probably ask you how short you want your sideburns. In German, sideburns are called Koteletten.
So, what are my options?
You can tell them the length by referring to your ear. For example, you can say short, medium, or long. Or you can be more precise and say to the top of the ear or to the middle of the ear.
I think middle of the ear sounds like a good classic length. I will remember that. Now, what about the neckline, the hair at the back of my neck?
The neckline, or Nacken in German, is very important for how neat the haircut looks from behind. You have a few options. You can have it squared or blocked, which is a very sharp, straight line. You can have it rounded, which is a softer shape.
And what is the third option?
The third option is tapered or natural. This is where they don't create a sharp line at all, but just let the hair fade out naturally. It grows out a bit more nicely.
This is so detailed. I am learning so much. So, when I arrive at the salon, what happens first? Do they wash my hair?
Yes, almost always. The service is often called a wash, cut, and blow dry. The first step is that a junior stylist will usually take you to a basin to wash your hair.
That's a nice, relaxing start to the experience.
It is. They will shampoo and condition your hair. Sometimes they will give you a little head massage, which is wonderful. They will ask you if the water temperature is okay. You can say, "It's perfect, thank you," or "Could you make it a little warmer, please?"
After they have washed my hair, I go and sit in the main chair, right?
That's right. The main stylist or hairdresser will then come over. They will put a cape around you to protect your clothes, and then they will have the consultation with you. This is when you show them your picture and give them all the instructions we have been practicing.
And after the cut is finished, do they just let me leave with wet hair?
No, they will usually rinse any loose hairs off, and then they will blow dry your hair. They will also usually ask if you would like any styling products, like gel, wax, or hairspray. You can just say, "Yes, please," or "No, thank you." I have one more very important piece of advice for you. For when you are actually in the chair and the haircut is happening.
What is that?
Don't be afraid to speak up during the haircut. The stylist wants you to be happy with the result. It is much easier to make a small correction during the cut than to fix a big mistake at the end.
That's a very good point, but I would feel very rude interrupting them while they are working.
It's not rude at all as long as you are polite. For example, if you are watching them cut the top and you feel it is getting too short, you can say something like, "I think that's probably short enough on top now, thank you."
That sounds polite. It's better than sitting there in silence and feeling worried.
Exactly. Or if they have cut the sides and you think they are still a bit too long, you can say, "That looks good, but could you possibly take a little bit more off the sides?"
So it is okay to give feedback as they go along.
Yes, it is a conversation. The stylist will usually ask you questions too, like, "Is this length okay for you?" And you can just give a simple, honest answer. "Yes, that's perfect." Or, maybe a tiny bit shorter."
Okay, so I will remember to communicate during the haircut. That is a very empowering tip. So, let's imagine the haircut is finished. What happens then?
When the stylist thinks they are finished, they will do a final check. They will brush off any loose hairs from your neck and face. Then they will hold up a handheld mirror behind your head.
Ah, yes, the mirror trick, so I can see what the back of my head looks like.
Exactly. They will hold the mirror so you can see the reflection of the back of your head in the big mirror in front of you. They will ask you a question like, "How does that look for you?"
And this is my final chance to say if I am happy or not.
It is. You should have a good look at the neckline and the overall shape. 99% of the time, it will look great. And you can just say, "That looks great, thank you," or "It's perfect."
And what if there's a small thing I don't like? What if one little piece of hair is sticking out?
Then you should just politely point it out. You can say, "It looks great, thank you. Could you just trim this one little bit here?" The stylist will be happy to make that tiny final correction to make sure you are completely satisfied.
Once you have given your final approval, the stylist will take the cape off and your haircut is officially complete. The last step is to go to the front desk to pay.
Right. And now for a very important cultural question. Should I leave a tip for my hairdresser here in Austria?
Yes, it is very customary to tip your hairdresser if you are happy with the service. It is a way of showing your appreciation for their skill and their time.
I definitely want to do that if I am happy. How much should the tip be? Is there a rule?
A good rule of thumb is to tip around 10% of the total price. So if your haircut costs 30 euros, a tip of around 3 euros would be very appropriate.
Okay, 10%. That's easy to remember. And how do I give the tip? Do I leave the money on the table?
No. The easiest way is to just round up the total amount when you pay. For example, if the bill is 32 euros, you can hand them 35 euros and say, "That's okay, thank you. Das passt so, danke." They will then understand that the extra 3 euros are for them.
That is a very simple and elegant way to do it. I think I am now completely prepared for my haircut. I know what to do from the beginning to the very end. Thank you so much.